Hey guys, Greg Yetter here, and today I want to talk about pricing your physical product. There are many pricing models you can use to think about how to appropriately price your product, but I think that there are two main ones that you should think about first before going off the deep end into all these different price considerations. And those two things are cost plus pricing versus value-based pricing. So I want to get into defining those and telling you what the differences are, and then also giving you an example or two so you can figure out the best way to price your physical product. So the first model I want to talk about is cost plus pricing. And the way you think about this is you figure out how much it costs to manufacture your product and how much it costs to import it, and anything else that might go into the category of cost of goods sold. This usually doesn't include the fees that various marketplaces take or the final shipping costs, although you do want to keep those in mind when you're doing your cost plus pricing model, because typically the cost plus pricing model is used in more competitive, commoditized price categories. So if you're selling a product that is very similar to other products that are out there and that is minimally differentiated, cost plus pricing might be the model you look at. And you have to be very careful about the various inputs and outputs because typically your margins can be pretty low. So for a physical product, especially in the sub $100 category, you may be pricing the product anywhere from, let's say, 1.5 times what it costs you to make the product, all the way up to 5, 10, 15, 20 times the cost of what the product was. So if your COGS are, let's say, $1, you might end up selling the product for $5. Typically, when you look at the COGS, they do not include the marketplace or retailer's fees or the final shipping costs. So something that might only cost you $1 to make and import might end up costing you up to $3 or $4 to actually get it to the customer. So then your profit margin would only be about $1. Now, if you're in a competitive category, the cost plus pricing model may be where you start and end up. But I think that even for competitive products, but especially for unique products, the value-based pricing model is really what you want to be looking at. The way the value-based pricing model works is that you do research on what customers are willing to pay, and then you set your price based on the value to the customer. When you do your customer research, you're going to find that different people have different willingness to pay. So some people might have a very low willingness to pay, where they're only willing to pay something that's very minimally more than what it costs you to make the product. Where other people, the value of the features and benefits of the product is extremely high, and they're willing to pay a lot more than what it costs to make the product. So basically the way value-based pricing works is you have to do research based on what customers are willing to pay. In another video, we'll get into more about pricing research, but today I want to just give you an example of value-based pricing and how it applies to my product, Bedtime Bulb. So typically a light bulb might cost you anywhere from $1 to $2 for a pretty crappy light bulb, all the way up to $5 to $10 for a decent quality light bulb. But currently, if you look at our product on Amazon.com or on our website, it costs about $19.99. And we actually have even been experimenting with higher pricing because of this value pricing argument. Now, the reason we price it at $19.99, other than the fact that it actually does cost quite a bit to make this product, is that we found out that customers are willing to pay for a better night's sleep. And this is one part of a better night's sleep. So how does that work? We found that people who struggle with their sleep are actually willing to spend multiple dollars per night to get a good night's sleep. Why? Because maybe they don't need to buy so many Starbucks coffees during the day. Maybe they feel more alert. Maybe they realize the long-term cost of their health is worth more than what it costs in a day-to-day fashion. So there are many reasons why people would be spending up to a few dollars per night to get a better night's sleep. And yet, if you only use our product for a year, it's actually only going to cost you a few cents per night. So when you look at it that way, Bedtime Bulb is actually quite a cheap sleep aid product. And that's also why we think we have some room to even raise the price further. Now, of course, when you do these price experiments, the buyers do have an impression of the price. So it's not only based on your model of how much it costs per day to use this product. it is also based on customers' perceptions. So sometimes when you run pricing experiments, and if you raise the price too high, you'll get fewer people that buy your product. And on the flip side, you may lower your price, but you might not get that many more customers than you did at a higher price. So there is this balance you have to play, and there's a sweet spot. You're going to find that even if you run pricing experiments before you sell the product, you're not going to get it totally right, but those pricing experiments are still important to give you an idea of where you should start pricing the product and then where you can continue to experiment. Now with Bedtime Bulb, the cost per night is not the only way we look at pricing the product. It's just one of the ways. The other thing we can look at is the cost of energy. So people might say, okay, well, $20 is really a lot of money to spend for a light bulb. But if you actually look at comparing our product, Bedtime Bulb, over 10,000 hours versus incandescent lighting over 10,000 hours, Bedtime Bulb's total cost of ownership would be less than $30, while incandescent lighting, because it's so inefficient and wasteful, actually would cost you more than $50 over just 10,000 hours. So even if you look at it from a cost perspective, it is cheaper. However, we don't really use that argument because our prime selling point is the sleep benefit and the reduction of blue light, not the energy savings. We only pull that card if somebody has a severe objection to, well, I don't care, it's an expensive light bulb. We're not going to win everybody, but the point is to actually raise the value of a specific product category and to increase the value in the customer's lives. And pricing is a key aspect in terms of putting an idea in the customer's mind of what is this product actually going to do for me. So those are some quick thoughts on two models you can use for thinking about how to price a physical product. There are many other pricing models which we can get into at some point in the future, and a lot of these pricing considerations aren't really relevant for software or services types businesses where something is more scalable. But for physical products, I think the cost plus versus value based is definitely the place to start. I'm going to have a new video soon that talks about the 4 questions you can ask to start running surveys about how to price your product, so stay tuned for that. I encourage you to check out some of the other videos on this channel which talk about entrepreneurship, making physical products, e-commerce, Amazon, importing, all of these challenges that go into running a physical or online business. If there's a question you have, I'd love to hear from you in the comments, or if it's something longer, I have some coaching calls that you can book in the link below where we can talk in depth about what your needs are and I can give you my opinions based on my own experience. So thanks so much for watching and I hope you have a great day.